I just want to welcome everybody. Yeah, everybody likes each other up here. That's good news. I'm Marjorie Dannenfelser, the president of the Susan B. Anthony List, and I'm moderator today. I want to welcome Senators Daines and Langford, the principals of the major pro-life groups in the country representing millions of Americans. But the most important person in this room is Micah Pickering. Micah, who you'll meet in a minute, and his parents came to teach the U.S. Senate and the American public something that they perhaps needed a little bit of reminding of, and that is when Micah was born at 22 weeks, he was the same guy as he is now, just as we all were, the same people that now that we were when we were about that age and even younger. He's come to show us that what the consequences are, or help us to know them personally and more intimately by considering the fact that children his age, when he was born, are not treated with the love and respect and determination that his parents showed fighting for his life. Well, we are all here to stand and fight for the lives of children just like Micah, around 18,000 a year, which is a great beginning to really making our country be the group of people, the community that we are, and that is founded on the idea of an inalienable right to life. So the pioneer of this bill in the U.S. Senate, we owe a deep debt of gratitude to, and that is Senator Lindsey Graham. And you're up first, Senator. Thank you.
Yay, thank you very much. Thank you all. Hey, thank you. Well, Micah, if you can educate the United States Senate, you're off to a good start. A lot of us are having a hard time doing that. To the coalition here, to all of you, you're doing the country a great service. In terms of the pro-life movement, this is an historic day. Here's what I think about America. She is at her best when she's protecting the least among us, and we're all on the right side of history here. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to make a point that there's 7 nations in the world that allow abortion on demand at 20 weeks in the 5th month of pregnancy, and we want to get out of that club. And there is no upside to being in this club that I can see. So you have an example of a young man who is here today, born during this time period, but the theory of the case is not medical viability. In 1973, the Supreme Court ruled at the point of medical viability, legislative bodies like the Congress at the federal and state level could protect the unborn child. Well, what's happened since 1973? A lot. So the point we're trying to make is that we now know from medical science to operate on an unborn child at 20 weeks, the 5th month in pregnancy, a doctor administers anesthesia. Why? Because the baby feels excruciating pain. We now know about the development of the unborn child at 5 months. Medical science requires, dictates that anesthesia be provided in the operation to save the child's life. No doctor would operate on that baby without anesthesia because they know they're causing pain to their patient. Here's the question for America. Is it okay to crush the child's head at 20 weeks? Is it okay to allow abortion on demand at 20 weeks, knowing what we know now about the ability of that baby to feel pain so intensely that they can't be operated on to save their life without anesthesia? The one thing I would say is that there are exceptions in this bill for the very rare circumstances where the abortion would have to move forward because of the life of the mother, and we address the rape incest situation. What we're trying to do here is get America on the right path. We're trying to adhere to who we are as a people, and I am confident of the following. No matter how the vote turns out today, this is the beginning of victory.
That's right.
Victory will be ours because we're on the right side of history. We will not stop. And as the American people understand what we're trying to do, and as Micah and others teach us about what we're talking about, as we try to reevaluate who we are and look in that mirror as a nation, we're going to find the American people firmly behind us. And to the members of the Senate today, look in that mirror. Look and see who you want America to be in 2015. Here's who I want our country to be. I want our country to be a place that welcomes the unborn. I do not want America to be in a club of 7 that would allow a baby's skull to be crushed on demand for any reason at 5 months, because we now know that baby feels pain. And can you imagine the pain that comes from being aborted? That is not where America needs to be. To all of you, God bless. Victory will be ours sooner rather than later. Let it start today.
So let's hear also from Senator Daines from the great state of Montana, and then Senator Langford.
Thanks, Marjorie. I'm Senator Steve Daines of Montana, and I am not running for President of the United States. So I come from a state that where we fly fish. And when you fly fish, you present a cast to attract the fish instead of spear fishing. And the reason I say that is because I really believe that people believe what they discover for themselves. And the American people are discovering, thanks to technology, that a baby at 20 weeks is very much a baby. In fact, I would challenge you to take your smartphone and Google 20-week baby and see what images pop up when you Google 20-week baby. There's the image that pops up. See a little baby there sucking its thumb. In fact, at 20 weeks is when Cindy and I went to the doctor and got the ultrasound and found out whether we were going to have a little boy or a little girl when we were having our 4 children. And why is it that 60% of the American people, in fact, nearly 60% of American women, believe that late-term abortions, that abortions after 20 weeks, should not be legal? That's because they're discovering, thanks to technology, what a 20-week baby looks like. So I hope that the Senate today will join the House in passing, in moving forward here in this very, very important bill that protects unborn children who can feel pain.
Well, good morning. I'm James Langford from Oklahoma. It's great to get a chance to have this conversation about children. And that's really what this circles around, is the next generation and about children. These are infants that can feel and experience pain. These are infants that we've all seen the sonogram pictures of. For my wife and I, the first time that we had the opportunity to be able to see our 2 daughters was at 20 weeks, to be able to see the sonograms and to see what they look like and watch them moving around. If you want to go back and use the old term from common law, it was the time of quickening, when they knew the child was alive and was moving. And it's even what the Supreme Court struggled with in 1973 in the Roe v. Wade decision, when they said science will have to deal with this in the days ahead of when is that moment that a child is viable. Well, I would tell you in my life, I have a friend of mine that their daughter was born at 14 ounces at this same time period that we're all discussing. And at 14 ounces when she was delivered, she's now 15 pounds and growing and doing great. Her name is Violet. Maybe Violet and Micah can get together at some point and get a chance just to talk about their experiences. But the amazing thing for them and for their family is they were processing through the earliest days when they had an army of healthcare folks around their child at 22, 24, 26 weeks after conception, when she's now alive and they can see her and they're watching her grow out there and struggling for life. When she's a month old, 2 months old, and this army of physicians that are around her, for them to realize across town there's another child that's being killed right now when our child has a team of physicians around them. Because for some reason our nation has said when you can see that child, we'll do everything we can to protect them. But when you can't see them, we're okay with them being destroyed. Well, that's not who we are as a nation. It's not a matter whether you can see them or not. It's not a matter of how tall they are to say they've got to be a certain height before we'll consider them alive. That's a living child. This bill does something that we would consider very non-controversial. When a child can experience pain, shouldn't we protect the life of that child? And to be able to have that ongoing conversation with the nation and to be able to set that out there for the Micahs and for the Violets and for the children that are still yet to come, we believe that that is a basic principle that we can all agree to as a nation.
Thank God for the Senate class of 2014. I now want to introduce you to the Pickering family, and Danielle will tell their beautiful story. I want to thank them, especially you, Micah. Every one of you have taken your first plane ride, I understand, from Iowa to be here. Why don't y'all come up and maybe we can get a picture, and then I have a feeling that Micah has other things to get on to do while his mom tells his story. But as we hear this story, we appeal to the conscience of each senator who is on the fence on this issue today. When you think about casting your vote, think about the children you don't know, and Micah in particular.
This is him being really good.
Oh, yeah. All right. Mercy for Micah. Maybe we can. You want to stay as long as he feels like it. Yeah. You can do whatever you want. Yeah. I think Micah's the star of the show. No fits on the floor on the Senate yet.
I'm not as good as them. I had to write mine down, so bear with me. Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. My family and I have traveled all the way from Iowa to be here as a witness to the truth that unborn children, at the very least, those born at 20 weeks fetal age, can experience pain, and they deserve the protection of the law. We are here to encourage senators to vote for the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act today. My son, Micah, was born at 22 weeks gestation, or 20 weeks fetal age, exactly the point in the time that this bill will protect unborn children. Micah is now 3 years old and a healthy, very energetic boy. Earlier this year, the New York Times wrote an article about Micah and a study finding that children born at 22 weeks may survive if they are given proper care. I'm thankful that Micah was one of those babies. These babies can feel pain. I could see pain my son experienced when he was in intensive care at 22 weeks. He was very sick. He was the sickest boy in the NICU. The doctors at our hospital recognized that he could be suffering and kept him medicated so that he would not feel excruciating pain. Our laws are overdue to be changed. The United States is only one in 7 countries that still permits abortion after 20 weeks. As a mother whose son was born at the time during my pregnancy, that is heart-wrenching to me. Please think of my son Micah and the thousands of other children who are viable outside the womb when you vote on the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act. Please vote to protect children from the painfulness of late-term abortions. Thank you.
Well done, John. Thank you. All right, so as long as you can take it, Micah, you're welcome to do whatever you need to do. You can take your dad wherever you need to go, if you do. So I'm just going to introduce the quick lineup of speakers here, and they will just come up in succession. Carol Tobias, first from the National Right to Life Committee, Penny Nance from Concerned Women for America, Ovid LaMontagne from Americans United for Life, Jeannie Mancini from March for Life, and Irina Grousseau from Family Research Council.
Thank you, Marjorie. Good morning. I am Carol Tobias. I'm the president of the National Right to Life Committee, the Federation of State Right to Life Organizations. I want to express our gratitude to Senator Lindsey Graham for his leadership in the Senate on the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act as we look forward to the Senate vote today on this bill. It has been 12 years since the Senate voted to limit abortion in the later months of pregnancy. In 2003, the Senate voted to ban the gruesome partial birth abortion procedure. As you may remember, this legislation was vetoed twice by President Clinton, but was signed by pro-life President George W. Bush after he got into the Oval Office. We are going to hear falsehoods, like one on the Senate floor yesterday, that babies can't survive at this age. Well, we know differently. That abortions past 20 weeks fetal age are rare, or that unborn babies can't feel pain at this age. Reporters covering the story, if they do their research, will find that unborn babies can survive, that abortions at this stage of development are not rare, and that, yes, unborn babies can feel pain. Professor Kanwaljit Anit, who transformed the pain control practices in neonatal intensive care units around the country, stated, "It is my opinion that a human fetus possesses the ability to experience pain from 20 weeks of gestation, if not earlier, and the pain perceived by a fetus is possibly more intense than that perceived by term newborns or older children." We encourage all senators to vote for this legislation to protect the most vulnerable among us. Thank you.
I'm Penny Nance. I'm the CEO and president of Concerned Women for America. And thank you, Senator, for bringing us to this historic moment, and other senators who are here in support. I, like most moms, fondly remember going to my first sonogram at 20 weeks. I could finally see my baby kicking and moving around. She was reacting actually to all the sugar I'd just consumed in a milkshake. She had all of her vital organs. Her nervous system was developed. I saw her fingers and toes, and I even still have a picture of her beautiful face. That baby is my beautiful Claire, who I just dropped off for her freshman year in college a month ago. I'm doing okay. Sonograms and medical science have gotten so much better since that day 18 years ago. We know so much more about fetal development since my first baby, and certainly since Roe v. Wade in 1973. Public opinion has changed too. Yet, despite the fact that growing babies in utero are clearly part of our human family and able to feel pain, the abortion industry uses their immense political clout to deny basic science and to prop up the dismemberment of those children. Abortion at this stage oftentimes involves crushing the baby's body and ripping it apart limb by limb. No matter on which side of the political spectrum you fall, we should at a minimum, be able to agree that science has brought us too far, that we know too much to turn our heads to this barbaric practice. 13,000 comprehensive care clinics stand ready to care for poor mothers. 2,300 nonprofit pregnancy care centers offer both medical and social services. And 2 million parents stand ready to adopt a baby should the mother choose. We can and we must do better. The pain-capable vote in the Senate today will determine if the United States will remain squarely within the top 4% of the most permissive countries in the world on abortion, or whether we take a long overdue step towards civility and compassion. I appeal to the consciences of the senators as they vote today. Please protect the most vulnerable among us and vote for this bill. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ovid Lamontagne, General Counsel for Americans United for Life, and on behalf of our President, Dr. Charmaine Yost, and my colleagues and our colleagues at Americans United for Life and AUL Action, I stand with them and for them in solidarity with national pro-life leaders and leaders in the Senate to call for the passage of Senate Bill 1553, the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act. And I want to commend, in particular, Senator Lindsey Graham for his leadership on this bill here in the Senate, and it would be remiss if I didn't also thank very much, on behalf of my colleagues, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell for his leadership in making sure that there is a vote on this bill this very important and historic week here in Washington. We support the bill for two reasons. One, of course, is to protect that unborn child, those unborn children from fetal pain, but also to protect women from the harms of late-term abortion. Science has also revealed to us over the last years, many years since Roe v. Wade, the intense harm that's inflicted upon women physically, psychologically from late-term abortion. And this is a way to protect them as well as their unborn children. I would commend and urge members of the press who are asking members of the Senate who may vote against this bill today why they're voting against this bill. You see, extremism on the issue of abortion rests with the left, rests with those senators and individuals who oppose this bill. And the question they should be asked is, at what point do you limit abortion in America?
Or do you take the position that Debbie Wasserman Schultz has taken, and that is it's always between a woman and her doctor, which means abortion in America is available through 9 months, and it is under Roe versus Wade and Doe versus Bolton. That is unacceptable to a majority of Americans. The extremism on this issue is with the left. My own senator from New Hampshire, Jean Shaheen, is going to vote against this bill, and someone should ask her, where is the reasonable common sense limit to abortion, Senator? Or do you believe that at 9 months, a child can be taken from her mother's womb? Extremism is with the left, not with this common sense regulation and law that is supported by a vast majority of Americans. Thank you.
Good morning and thank you. I'm Jeannie Mancini with the March for Life, and I represent the tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of pro-life Americans who march for the dignity of the human person every single January. And we know that every abortion is one too many, but the truth of the matter that even pro-choice Americans agree that late-term abortion is a terrible thing and they want it done away with in our country. This is a common sense law. We've seen what this is like. This is when a mom is expecting a baby and she's starting to touch her stomach and the little baby starts to kick out. This is the stage that we're talking about here. Tomorrow, we are actually this afternoon, this evening now, we're expecting a major visitor to our country, Pope Francis. He's an incredible teacher of human dignity, and I just want to quote him with regard to all of this. The level of progress in a society is measured by its capacity to safeguard life, above all in its most fragile stages. America, we need to defend life. I, like many of my colleagues up here, appeal to the consciences of the senators who will make this vote today. Do what is right. Be courageous. Let's get this passed.
Good morning. Thank you, Senator Graham, Senator Daines, and Senator Langford for being here. My name is Irina Grosu. I am the director of the Center for Human Dignity at Family Research Council. And I'm standing here with my colleagues in support of the passage of the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act. In May, at the 2-year anniversary since the conviction of Kermit Gosnell, infamous abortionist, and his killing of late-term babies born alive, the House passed this very bill. It is now the Senate's turn. It is our duty to protect vulnerable, pain-capable brothers and sisters in the womb, dying in excruciating pain. Science is very clear on this. Not only do babies have all of the neurobiology and all the connections to feel pain by 20 weeks post-fertilization at the very latest, but they feel pain more intensely than newborns and adults because the pain receptors on their skin have developed so much, and yet their inhibitors for the pain have not developed, so they can feel pain much more greatly. Science also reveals that babies respond to pain and they move away from the painful stimulus, and they have a hormonal stress response that goes up when something that is very painful touches them. We also know that doctors routinely use anesthesia when they do prenatal surgery on babies by 20 weeks post-fertilization. Yet, why is it still legal to kill our babies in this country who can feel pain? How can we accept that in a neonatal intensive care unit across the country, 20-week-old pain-capable babies, viable preemies, are monitored carefully, and all the doctors and personnel surround them to make sure that they stay alive? Well, at Planned Parenthoods all over the country, babies of the same exact age are being killed. Not only are they being killed, they are being ripped apart limb from limb until they bleed to death. And as we know from the videos from this summer, then the organs are trafficked and harvested. And mostly this is done for late-term babies because those are the ones that scientists want to use. We must be a nation that protects all babies indiscriminately from the atrocity of abortion and of baby harvesting. There is absolutely no difference in their value, dignity, and their right to life. As was said before, to our shame, we are one of 7 countries in the world that allow abortions after 20 weeks, joining China, North Korea, and Vietnam. Our legislators need to be in step with the American public, who unequivocally support a ban on late-term abortions. In 2013, the polling company reported that 64% of the American public support a ban on abortions after 20 weeks. Not only that, but of women, 63% support such a law. Senators, the screams of approximately 13,000 viable, pain-capable babies are silenced every year because of late-term abortion. But you can protect them and be their voice by voting in favor of the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act. Thank you.
Any questions? Be glad to take questions and share them with my colleagues.
Hi, Senator. Dustin Siggins with LifeSite News. There's a lot of talk about how this bill goes through the Senate because of the current Democratic filibuster and how we don't have a pro-life president.
Right.
Obviously, getting a pro-life president is very important if you want to pass legislation. But is there a lot of attention being focused on the Senate, where 24 Republicans are at risk next year? What is your sense of how the Senate will look in 2017, in addition to whether or not we can get a pro-life president?
Well, President Clinton vetoed partial birth abortion bans twice. President Bush signed it. I wish there were somebody on the Democratic side that would feel comfortable saying, I'm okay with this bill. Most Americans are, but unfortunately we're in a situation where all Republicans and no Democrats running for president are on opposite sides of this, and most Americans are with us. This is important to understand, the process. We're going to be denied potentially a debate on the subject matter. It's not, I'm not asking you to vote for my bill. I'm asking you to let's talk about my bill. And I'm offering you an alternative to my bill. There's a Blumenthal bill that would roll back every state regulation on abortion. The Supreme Court's upheld because he doesn't like them. Well, that's fine. Let's vote on your bill too. Here's what I can't get over is that the pro-choice community is apparently afraid of their positions. We're not. Let's have a debate. And someone said yesterday, well, there's so much going on. Why are we wasting our time on this? Please. If you think this is a waste of time, you have lost your way. You may not agree with us, but what is more worthy of a democracy than to talk about children? And when do you become you? When do you have a soul? And if they didn't care about the subject matter, why did they put a bill together that would roll back state protections of the unborn? Obviously, they care about putting the bill together, but obviously they don't care about voting on it. So I think what you've seen here is that our friends on the left, on the pro-choice side, have legislation they're afraid to put on the floor.
Well, can we move on to another question? We've got a lot of people.
Yeah.
Senator, what do you hope that the Pope's message to Congress is on abortion, and how do you think his presence here in Washington might elevate this issue or move it forward, even if it doesn't advance today?
Well, I hope people will see the visit by the Pope and contemplate what he says, and the Pope's pretty pro-life. I would hope that the Pope showing up would remind us of this issue, and that our Catholic friends. All I'm saying is that the Pope has been an outspoken supporter of the unborn. I don't always agree with the Pope, but I'm aligned with him here. And the theory of the case is very important here. Micah survived. Medical science has delivered a healthy baby boy. We're not asking that the standard be medical viability. Here's what we're saying. If science has advanced to the point that we understand that children at this stage in development feel pain and that doctors prescribe anesthesia, that should be enough for legislative bodies to say stop abortion. That's all we're trying to say, is that science has advanced to the point now that we know at 20 weeks that baby feels excruciating pain, that you can save the baby's life through an operation, that doctors prescribe anesthesia because they don't want to hurt the baby. We're saying at that point legally, we as a legislative body, speaking for the American people, have a right to say stop abortions there. That's a new theory. It's not medical viability. And I think we have won the scientific debate. And I think we're going to win over time, back to your question, legislatively.
Senator,
anybody else want to
Could
say
you
anything?
identify what outlet you're from?
As the funding deadline approaches, heard a lot of talk about that it's absolutely imperative to defund Planned Parenthood before we authorize government funding going forward. I know that that's something that you believe in other approaches as a Senator McConnell in making that happen. I'm also interested in hearing from the advocates. Have any of your groups taken positions that it's absolutely imperative to end funding for Planned Parenthood, or are you open to other approaches? So, pardon me, Senator, I appreciate your point of view, but I'd also like to hear from the advocates.
Sure, but I would say that we all agree on the following. None of us want to fund Planned Parenthood.
That's right.
The question is how you effectively do it. But
Well, I leave this to the rest of the advocates, but we certainly believe that where there are votes that would allow a bill to move forward in either house, those votes that vote should be taken. If you've got them, you should take advantage and move forward. In the House, it seems pretty clear that we do have the votes, or it seems very possible.
okay.
Senator Graham, Jason Calvi with BWT and the Global Catholic Network. Can you talk about the timing? Why now? You introduced this, I think, back in May. Is this in some way to get attention away from maybe the Planned Parenthood defunding and the budgetary battle? Is that why this is happening today, or?
No, we've been working on this. This is like today is a good day. Today is a good day to talk about this. I think the timing is perfect. We're in the legislative process. We're dealing with the budget debate that comes, in a few days. I just want to thank Senator McConnell to your question about the makeup of the Senate. If it were not for Mitch McConnell and a Republican majority, we wouldn't be taking this vote. So to all those who are frustrated with Republicans and Democrats having charge of the place and we can't get all we want, I share that frustration, but there is a process here. And this is an example, I think, of where having Mitch McConnell as the majority leader versus Harry Reid means we get to talk and we actually get to vote.
Senator Graham, Mary Troyan of Greenville News. Back to the partisan split that you mentioned on this
Yeah.
issue. You also are campaigning in part on somebody who can build bridges between the parties and find compromise. What kind of work are you doing to find compromise on this bill, or do you think there is none to be found?
Well, I think there's a bunch of Democrats that support this. I think last time I checked, unless 60% of the American people are Republicans, which if they are, we really are not doing that well. But we should be winning everything. I mean, the consensus is with us. There are plenty of Republicans and Democrats who are pro-choice that believe, okay, this is a bridge too far. When you get 60%, that means that you're getting independents. That means you're getting Republicans and Democrats. And that's the point. I want to be the president that can talk about bringing us together, but also fight for things that make us better. To our friends who oppose this, why? Now, why? What are we trying to accomplish here? Why do you want to preserve abortion on demand this late in the birthing? What good comes from it? I am just absolutely at a loss. I understand the early term debate, but we're now at 5 months, and we have exceptions for life of the mother. We're not doing crazy things here. If there's a medical problem that's real, then it will be addressed. But here's what they need to tell us, and 60%, what good comes from a nation allowing this to happen? So I think I'm going to be a president that not only can bring us together if I ever get the job, but can articulate who we are. And let me tell you what I think. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Libertarians, and Vegetarians mostly don't like this.
Can I add one tiny thing to that bit? Just to add, the electoral piece of this is vital, and it preceded this day, and it will come out of this day. There are several senators, Democrat and Republican, who are on the fence. I would put at the top of that list Senator Heidi Heitkamp from North Dakota, who has said she is opposed to late-term abortion, but has somehow implied, let's hope not too emphatically, that she's going to vote against this bill. We only, if I were in her family, I would just hope that she is not planning on running for public office again in North Dakota, because it will be very, very difficult. to take this position. There's a reason that all the Republican primary candidates are united behind this position. There's a reason that the U.S. Senate was elected, the class of 2014, with this issue very much at the center of its strategy and its moral case. And that's because it wins and it's the right thing to do.
No, I didn't talk to the Pope. We don't talk as much as I would like. He said, "Hey, Lindsey, I'm coming." No, we've been looking for a spot on the calendar before the end of the session. I'm glad the Pope's here, and I hope people listen to him. I'm not going to. I'm going to make sure the government doesn't shut down. If you can show me a pathway forward where we have the votes to defund Planned Parenthood, I will be with you. You've got to prove to me that the president, we can override his veto because he said he would. I really believe that the only way we're going to defund Planned Parenthood is to elect someone like Lindsey Graham, just like we elected George W. Bush to sign partial birth abortion into effect. I'm trying to advance a cause that I think most Americans would appreciate, and that is saving children from excruciating pain in an abortion process where we can actually save the baby's life. As to Planned Parenthood, all of us are united. We want to take the money away and give it to women to help themselves and their children. But I am not, I'm just speaking for me, going to engage in a process that we can't win. The motto of the Air Force is fly, fight, and win. I like fighting, but it's not fly, fight, and crash. So the bottom line is here, we're at war. There's a lot going on, and I want to make sure that we don't degrade our defenses if we don't have the votes. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Beautifully done. Well,